Well, students, we will move towards the next concept in geography. The next concept is the globe, latitudes, and the longitudes. Students, I think everyone are familiar with the concept of globe, right? So, globe is a true model of the earth and it is a replica of the earth. So, it represents our planet earth. So, globe is a model of the earth to study more about the earth, to know more about the earth. If you want to know more about the earth, so we will use globe. Next, the latitudes. Latitudes are imaginary parallel lines, students. Imaginary parallel lines which drawn on the surface of the equator or surface of the globe parallel to the equator is called latitude. Next, the longitudes. Imaginary lines running from north pole to south pole of the globe are called longitudes. Please make a note of the meaning of the lesson, the globe, latitudes and longitudes. So, we are going to discuss more about the globe, longitudes, latitudes and the longitudes. Please make a note. Okay, students. So, this is the model of the earth. So, this is the globe, the model of the earth, and we can see the imaginary lines like latitudes and the longitudes. So, just observe carefully. We have many imaginary lines, so which is drawn horizontally on the surface of the globe, and some lines, imaginary lines which is drawn vertically from north pole to the south pole, So, these vertical lines are known as the longitudes and the horizontal lines on the surface of the globe are called the latitudes. Students, why do we need these longitudes and the latitudes? We need longitudes and latitudes to know more about the earth, for example, to find out the location of the place and to know the heat zones of the earth. We need the longitudes and the latitudes. So, without longitudes and latitudes, the study of earth is not possible. Okay. So, this is the model of the earth and it is a replica of the earth. So, just like in a globe, our planet earth is also visible same. See, we can see the many continents and we can see the seas and oceans and we can see different countries. We can learn many things with the help of globe. And just observe carefully, our earth is not exactly straight. Yes, our earth is tilted, means it is slightly tilted for a 23.5 degree. It is exactly not for a 90 degree. Our earth is not for the 90 degree. It is tilted for 23.5 degree. Yes or no? So, this tilted manner of the earth is known as axis. It is known as axis. So, what is the value? What is the value of the axis, earth axis? It is for earth is tilted for 23.5 degree. It is not exactly straight for a 90 degree. Our earth axis is slightly slanted for 23.5 degree. It is tilted towards the sun. Just hold on, students. So, once again I will explain the concept of latitudes and the longitudes. See, just imagine this is a globe. Just imagine this is the globe. First I will explain what are latitudes. Latitudes are horizontal lines which is drawn on the surface of the globe or on the surface of the earth. So these are known as latitudes. Students, there is no exact lines like this on our planet earth. Okay, so cartography means it is a process of manufacturing globe and map. The geologists, the cartographers have done this kind of a learning system to know more about the planet earth. So these are all latitudes. So there is a process to draw the latitudes. It is not possible to draw wherever we want, just like this. And each and every latitudes have its own values. Values means it has its own numbers. The latitudes will start from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. Students, this important latitude is known as equator. This equator divides our earth into two halves. This equator line divides our earth into two halves, like northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. We have two spheres. Our earth has two spheres, northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. Exactly at the center of the earth we have a 0 degree latitude. Okay, on the basis of this 0 degree we are going to draw the parallel latitudes. It is known as parallel latitudes. Why it is called parallel latitudes? Because we are going to draw parallel to equator. So it is called parallels of latitudes. And the latitudes which is drawn in southern hemisphere, it is countable as south. The latitude which is drawn in northern hemisphere, it is going to countable as north. For example, 0 degree, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 like that. It is going to count as 1 degree north, 2 degree north, because it is northern hemisphere. The latitudes lies in northern hemisphere. So like that there are 90 latitudes are there. 90 latitudes. There are 90 latitudes in the northern hemisphere, 90 latitudes in southern hemisphere. Total there are 180 latitudes are there. There are totally 180 latitudes are there in our globe. So these 180 latitudes which provides proper informations. With the help of these latitudes we can locate the places. Okay, so this is about the latitudes. Just hold on, I will move towards the longitudes. Well students, now I will teach you the longitudes. What do you mean by the longitudes? So before that, just have a concept of axis. Just know the concept of axis. It is very important. So what do you mean by axis? Students, I told you before only, our earth is tilted for 23.5 degree. It is not exactly, our earth axis is not exactly straight for 90 degree. Our earth is slanted or tilted towards the sun. It is tilted towards the sun for 23.5 degree. So you can see this axis line. So this is an imaginary line. Okay. So our earth is tilted for 23.5 degree. So this imaginary line is called axis. Okay, imaginary line which passes through center of the earth. It is passes through center of the earth. not somewhere in the corner. It is exactly passes through center of the earth, connecting from north pole to south pole. Connecting from north pole, this is north pole, this is south pole. From north pole to south pole in a tilted manner, not exactly the straight, in a tilted manner. It is called axis. So longitudes. So longitudes are drawn on the surface of the globe vertically, not horizontally, vertically, from north pole to south pole, from north pole to south pole. So like how we are going to draw the latitudes parallel to equator, like that the longitudes or longitudes are drawn parallel to axis, so we used to call longitudes. So longitudes are drawn vertically on the surface of the globe, connecting from north pole to south pole, so these are all longitudes. So both longitudes and latitudes are very important for us. Like how northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere is divided, so like that our earth is also divided into eastern hemisphere and western hemisphere, and the western hemisphere. So like how we have 0 degree equator, how we had 0 degree equator, like that we have 0 degree longitudes, so the longitudes countable as east and some longitudes are countable as west. So there are 180 longitudes which lies in eastern hemisphere, 180 longitudes lies in western hemisphere. So there are 360 longitudes are there. There are 360 longitudes and 180 latitudes. All these 180 latitudes and 360 longitudes are very important for us to know more about our earth. So far you learnt about the meaning of globe, latitudes and the longitudes. So just hold on, students. Okay, students, the next concept is the equator. So what is the meaning of equator? So equator is, once again, it is an imaginary line running on the globe, divides it into two equal parts, in two equal halves. So this line is known as the equator. So I'm holding a globe. So this here exactly at the center of the earth, our center of the earth, we have an imaginary line. So this imaginary line divides our earth into two halves exactly at the center of the earth. So this imaginary line is known as equator. So above and below there are parallels of latitude. We can see the parallels of latitudes. So these parallels of latitudes are drawn parallel to equator on north and the south, southern hemisphere and the northern hemisphere. So this is called equator. Okay, students, in this class we have learned something about the meaning of globe, the latitude, longitudes, equator and axis. So this is a little difficult concept because this is the first time you are going to learn physical. This is about the physical geography. Not about the natural geography. So definitely there will be a confusion. If you have any doubts, please ask us. So we are here to solve your problems, and try to read the lesson. You will come to know. Okay, friends, I think this much is enough. So we'll continue in the next class. Thank you.